Talking right now about an amazing artist. Her name's Marcy. Has anybody heard of the Mixed Media Girl? Marcy, the Mixed Media Girl, what she has done with her own business is phenomenal. She has a couple of amazing channels that I'm sure she'll tell us about. But what's really fun that I've learned from a first-hand basis is Marcy is all about a win-win opportunity. She uses all kinds of different things to create absolute art. I've been to her house. I've met her and her husband. I got to see what they create as a couple. Her husband is an amazing musician. He is an absolute artist himself. He is one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Marcy is one of the greatest people I've ever met. And what I love most about her is she cares more about making sure that I'm taken care of than she is, and vice versa. When we work together and when we do a video together, we're both making sure the other person got what they were hoping out of the content. And that's why I love doing collaborative opportunities with Marcy. She taught us in our last video together how to create geodes. Did anybody see that video? Yeah. That was one of the funnest videos I've ever made. We went to Joanne's and just went nuts, and that was so cool. I want to show you her quick bumper and leave her plenty of time because you guys are about to get mixed media. Let's do this.
This is Marcy, a famous artist on YouTube, the Mixed Media Girl. Marcy has been creating art since as long as she can remember. Marcy has built a huge audience teaching simple ways to create complex art. She's an amazing entrepreneur artist.
Probably discerned by now, I'm very, very, very passionate about art.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi guys, Mixed Media Girl here. My husband said I had to make sure I said, "Hey guys." I was like, I don't think it's possible to not anymore. So I am not nervous at all. I promise.
You got
this. Okay. So first of all, I want to start by thanking Stone Coat so much. Like, this is just amazing, right, guys?
Yeah.
What an amazing group of people here, and the speakers. I want to thank the speakers myself for putting in the time to come and speak to all of us so that we can all learn together. So, big round of applause for the speakers, guys. And thanks to my husband for everything. Okay, so I have this clicker thing. It's supposed to do something, so.
Yeah.
There you go.
Whoa. Oh, hey now. Okay. I'm going to basically give y'all my tips for success. Because I know we covered YouTube and some different marketing things. I'm going to basically just go over what worked for me. I kind of consider myself the ultimate DIYer. Like my whole life, I've learned bookkeeping, I've learned taxes. I'm actually a licensed life insurance agent. I've been a marketing exec, I've done sales, I've pretty much done it all, which culminated in me really being able to be an entrepreneur. So, I'm basically just gonna go over my most successful actions here. So a little bit about me. I was born and raised in Los Angeles. I always did art. At some point, I got serious about it, and I'm addicted to coffee and karaoke. I always painted and whatnot, and then at some point I just decided that I was going to get serious about actually making it into a viable business. And of course, there's always the goal of doing it full time, and that's what you do. And I've been very flexible with that over the years. Initially, I thought I wanted to be a graphic design artist, and that would be like the dream job. And then I got that job, and it was horrible. I was like, I don't want this job, no. And then I was like, I want to open an art studio, and that will be the dream. And I opened an art studio, and it was like horrible. It tanked, and I was like, oh, I don't want a storefront with rent necessarily and whatnot, But I learned along the way all the mistakes that I made, and I made some really good ones. I learned, and, then I just was willing to be a bit flexible with it, which I think is really important. So I'm going to go over some of the ways that I make money with my art, and I think these all I'm just gonna like skip ahead there. Okay. So I began doing art shows pretty early on, and basically like I just started sharing my art on social media. I was never salesy. I was never like, buy this. I would just share my art, and then people would be like, can I buy that? And I'd be like, I guess, sure, you know, and then it was like, dang, how much do I sell it for? That's a whole nother problem. And then how do I ship things? That's a whole nother problem. But selling art online was pretty much the first to friends and family. And then I was like, I'm going to do an art show. And I'll go into collaborating a bit more later, but I learned very quickly that getting other artists on board was a very successful action. Because I put on my first solo show, and that was great, but I got like 30 or 40 people there. I was like, if I had 10 artists, and each of those artists got 30 or 40 people there, man, we'd have a real show, you know? And then I was like, why not get some musicians and whatever? Anyways, it grew into epic proportions from there, but I learned early on to collaborate on the art shows there, and then I teach art classes. I think that's just something that's come naturally to me. I also used to be a first and second grade teacher, one of my many things that I did, so I have a lot of patience. So teaching merchandise, I put my art onto apparel and mugs, and I mean, you can see my shirt, I made that. Then there's Etsy, of course, actually selling the physical paintings online on Etsy and social media. There's YouTube, which is a huge part of my income. And I mean, where you make your income from art depends on really just what you want to do with it. But I love YouTube. It's so flexible, and it's passive income, and it's residual income, which is amazing. I can go out of town for 3 weeks, and you guys don't even know it. So it's awesome, right? You can do it from anywhere at any time. It's great. And then there's affiliate programs and, of course, Patreon. I don't think we need to go too much into affiliate programs because Sean covered that a lot. Patreon is another great one. It's basically crowdfunding for artists specifically. So if you've never checked it out, check it out. It's like basically people can pledge a monthly amount generally to support you in your art. And you can offer different perks and rewards just like a crowdfunding campaign. You don't have to, but you can. So like I do like at a certain amount, if you do this amount per month, I send you a little gift box, you know, and if you do this amount, I send you blah, etc. Or even just you're in this like exclusive, it's like a fan club, basically. So that's pretty cool as well. And there's so many other ways. There's licensing art. You know, you can put your art into hotels. You can put your art into movies. Like, there's so many ways. It's unbelievable. And a really important thing on this, actually, is, you know what? Actually, that's going to segue into the next one. We'll get there. Okay. So next slide here. All right. So this is my first tip. And that is to have your purpose. And, of course, you've heard this all throughout the day. You're going to hear this probably throughout the entire conference, is what is your purpose as an artist? This translates to what is your why, and like, why are you doing what you're doing? So obviously I have my daughter there, my husband, oh, there's no TV back there, and my dad. My family is my biggest why. I want to retire my dad. It's a huge goal of mine. I want my daughter to have all of the opportunities in the world, and while I had the most amazing parents, I didn't necessarily have all the opportunities I wanted, so I tried to provide those for my daughter, and that's basically a huge part of my why, and it's what keeps me going, because if you have an enormous why that's really important to you, you can't fail. It's just not even an option. If you don't really have a purpose there and a why, well, you give yourself the okay to give up, I think. Maybe not, but. So that's step one, have a purpose. And if you haven't yet written down your purpose, though I think you did that earlier, definitely take some time and actually sit down and really work out what that is and write it down. It's really important to write these things down. All right, then plan for success. I think that's the end of that one. All right, so set attainable goals and then break those down into doable actions. And this was also covered a bit earlier, but you can't necessarily just say, I want this, and then not plan to get there. You won't get very far. Who has ever had a dream?
Everybody.
Okay, good. I hope everybody in here. But that's what that is. That's a dream. That's not a goal where you just say, I want this, but you don't plan to get there. That's a dream. That's not a goal. So what I like to do is I like to take my goal and then I like to really break it down step by step until I get to the point where I go, I can go do this right now physically. Like in the physical universe, I can go do this. So let's say I want to sell, I want to sell 100 t-shirts this week. Okay, well that's a nice goal, but how am I going to get there? There's no doable action there. So it would have to break down into what promotional actions am I going to do? What physical actions am I actually going to do? And once I get to the point where I go, good, I can do that. I can go right now and go do that. That's where I'm like, good, I'm done with my planning for the moment. I go do it. Then once I'm like, okay, now what's next? Then I'll sit down and I'll reevaluate that. And an important thing on that is quantity. So especially with YouTubers, I see this probably one of the most common ways that they fail from what I've seen, is they start out trying to do perfection. They start out they go out and get all the expensive equipment. They spend 3 weeks editing one video, right? They go, just make sure it's so perfect, and then they put it out, and then they can't sustain that. They have their normal job and they can't sustain it. So they maybe do their channel for a month and then they drop it. And then maybe they come back to it later, maybe not, but by then they've lost the momentum. So if you guys know my channel, I don't edit 99% of anything. I don't edit. I record, I post. So it's a very sustainable thing for me. I'm already painting daily. I was already painting daily. Now I'm simply recording it and explaining it as I do it and then sharing it with you guys. It's very sustainable for me. But if I had to sit there and edit for hours and hours and hours and days, it wouldn't be sustainable. So I would say focus on the quantity. Then as you go, work on the quality. So I've now gotten better lighting. So if you look at my earlier videos, the lighting's kind of dingy. The camera's a little shaky because I had it literally hanging from a wire from my ceiling. No joke, in my garage. So the camera's a little shaky because it was just hanging from a wire. Every time I'd press record, it would start to shake. But now I have a tripod, $30 at Best Buy, y'all, and I have good studio lighting, and I've now worked to increase my quality now that I have that, now that I can, and then I have viability. That's, so if you skip the quantity and you just go for perfection, it's generally not super sustainable unless you have the resources to start with. And then schedule your day to best manage your time. So there's another thing that I definitely fall down on sometimes is you have to have the time for yourself. You have to have the time for your family. You have to have the time for church. You have to have the time for your friends and your groups. And you have to have your work time. You need it all. So if you just go work, and no, I can't go to that party. Nope, sorry, honey, I can't do homework with you. No date night. If you start to do that because you're so focused, once again, not particularly sustainable. And what are you working for? You're literally throwing your whys all out the window. So eventually it'll just not be any fun, and you just give up. So definitely schedule that time out. Schedule the time to get the exercise in. Schedule the time to spend with your family. Schedule the time to take a vacation once in a while. Schedule that me time, the nobody talk to me time, spa day, whatever it is really important. And just one other point I want to put onto this, which kind of goes back to all the ways that I've made money from my art, is words. Okay, really think about what you need to do to get to where you need to go. And that's part of the set attainable goals. And a lot of people don't actually think this through. They think to the next painting sale or the next sale. And then they go, oh my gosh, I made a sale. My life is amazing. And I'm like, great. But if you want to make $50,000 and you're selling paintings for $100, how many paintings will you need to sell in 1 year? a lot. It's 500. That's if you'd have to do a painting and a half a day and sell it. That's a lot. That's way too much, really. You can totally do that. It is totally possible. But man, would that be difficult, I think. Then let's say you're even selling them for $1,000. That's still 50 paintings a year. And most people aren't selling their paintings for $1,000. I know, because I'm one of them. So, it's like, okay, either I'm going to have to figure out a way to make that passive income and multiple streams of income, or I'm going to have to quickly get famous enough to sell my paintings for $10,000. And I know painters that sell their paintings for $10,000 to $20,000, and they are not viable. They don't make enough money to survive. So they come to me asking for advice, and I'm like, I sell my paintings for like $100 or $200, and this guy sells their paintings for $20,000. So obviously I'm doing something a little different, and there's no right or wrong. There truly is not a right or wrong. It's like, where do you want to go to? And realistically, what do you need to do to get there? So set those attainable goals. All right, moving right along. How's everybody doing?
All right.
Okay, good. Woo, it's very hot up here. And I have a lot of hair. All right. So the next one is to utilize as many promotional outlets as you can. So with that, you create your piece, you create your video, you create whatever your content is, your merchandise, your countertops, whatever it is. There are so many ways to promote. If you just post something on Facebook and then you're like, why isn't it selling? Well, you may have to do a little bit more than that. So I wouldn't say to necessarily go crazy and try to do all of them. Don't try to do every single social media out there unless you can. If you have that ability, great, go for it. I pretty much have that ability. So I do a lot of that. But use a website if you have it. Put it on your blog, on your website. Build up a newsletter list. Utilize that. Use all of your social media that you can, because there's a definite repetition that's needed. Like Mike was saying earlier, you get that 8 seconds or less, right? So people are scrolling, and they're not necessarily going to see your post. But if you post it in different ways, maybe different photos, different angles, and you post it often, they're going to see it. There's commercials that we listen to on the radio for the dumbest things, but we remember them because we hear them 1,000 times. So who are we going to call? I don't know. It may be regional, but we have like Gettle air conditioning, most annoying commercials ever. But I remember them, and I even remember the phone number. It's repetition. And, so it's just promote. And with that comes the visual content. So the posts that just have the words are like, I don't know the percentage, but way more likely to get scrolled past than the post that has the really cool picture or the video clip. Like I, 75% of the time, stop for videos. Maybe about 50% stop for photos, and then maybe like 5% stop for just text. And usually that's only if it's like really long, and I'm like, what is that person saying? That's so long. Other than that, it's usually scroll on by. So definitely massive visual content and video clips as much as you can and are willing and able to do. And yes, we all have smartphones, so we all have that capability. I'm going to actually just tell you guys real quick how my YouTube channel got started, because I think it's pretty funny. And for anyone who doesn't know, I've had my YouTube channel for less than 2 years. So I've got, 200 and something thousand subscribers. Woo!
Yeah.
It's really exciting. So it's not even something that has to take a long time. It doesn't have to take a long time. And the first, we'll get to that. But so how it all started, I never planned to be a YouTuber. Like, I don't even know how that happened, right? Never a plan in a million years. Never occurred to me. But I always love watching those time-lapse art videos. Who else watches those? Probably everyone, right? Like, they're just so fun. So I was researching for like a year on how to do a time-lapse video, and it seemed super complicated. It was like, take a picture every so many seconds and blah, blah, blah. I was like, that makes no sense. How do people do that? And then one day, someone was like, you know, you have a time-lapse function on your cell phone, right? And I was like, are you serious? So I went and I looked and I was like, holy cow. And that night, I rigged up the wire from my ceiling and I made my first time-lapse video. And then I was like, well, now what? I guess I'll post it to YouTube. That's what people do with these things. And that's how it all started. It just exploded from there. So it all just started with doing what I loved to do. And it was never like this intricate plan that I had, you know. So it's definitely something you can do it without going out and buying anything. And you can create that visual content no matter what you're doing. Whether you're painting, whether you're doing photography, whether you're making countertops, whether you're doing river tables, doesn't matter. Anyone has the capability, and for a whole year, I was never even on the camera. All you saw was my hands. No one even knew what I looked like. So even if you're super shy and you don't want to be in front of the camera, not required. I got to like 100,000 subscribers before anyone even saw my face, basically, you know. And I even was like 6 months before I even talked on a video. I would just put music on there and do a time lapse. So talking not even required. All right. So on this last one, create friends and fans, not sales. So you can probably see, why can't I see TVs? Okay. Those are a couple of my friends that bought paintings from me and are now moderators on my channel, and two of like my greatest friends. And that's just because I was never salesy. Like I was never like, buy my paintings, you know, and anyone that I come into contact with, like I just consider them a friend. And I'm working on building relationships. I'm not working on getting sales. I'm never working on getting sales. Like I'm working on building relationships. And I think that's what gets you really, really far. Let's just build those relationships. And let's see. That segues into collaborate with others. So here you can see me with Stonecoat doing the geodes, yeah. And then with Erica at ATD, I went last year to Texas. And then I went to Canada and I met up with Melly D. I don't know if you guys know who she is, but awesome. So on that, think of the creative ways that you can work with other people. And here's the fun thing is it doesn't even have to be other artists. Okay, like let's say you have I don't know, let's say there's like someone that has a skateboarding channel. Like I could come up to them and be like, hey, how about I paint a skateboard for you? And then we'll do a collab video or whatever. You know, it doesn't, like think outside the box. That's one of the things I love about collabs is that it gets me to think totally outside of my comfort zone and something that I never would have necessarily done. Like I never would have necessarily gone and done these big geodes, you know, and Erica taught me a lot about resin, and Melly D has a completely different style of art than I do, so that was all kinds of interesting. You know, she's very much perfectionist, and I'm the opposite. I'm like, let's just throw the paint on there. And she was like, no, let's do it slowly. I was like, all right. You know, so it's like, you figure out ways to work with the different styles, and that's okay. You know, but it gets you outside your comfort zone. And just for those of you who are painters specifically, I could tell you like 100 different ways that you can collaborate with another artist without being in the same state as them or country even. Like you can do videos that are the same colors and you guys post them at the same time, or you could do some kind of like a challenge, like let's do a paint off, you know, or you could do where you create a piece and you send it to them and they add to it. Or you could, my favorite is to go meet up with them in person, you know, if you can. And that way you also get like a family vacation in. You know, it's a 2-for-1. All of my vacations are work vacations, but they're awesome and they're all tax write-offs, so it's all good, you know. And then on collabs, of course, we're making friends with other artists. And this is something that I bet none of you here would do. But there are artists that get into like a competition kind of thing with other artists, and I think that just hurts them more than anything. Because we all have differences and we all have different styles and different strengths, and we can all learn from each other and help each other. You know what I mean? And you get nowhere by making enemies. You get very far by making friends. So that's huge. Like, if you don't get anything else from this, just make friends. That alone will get you so far in life. No matter what you're doing, make friends. So create synergies and alliances, not competitors and enemies. Yeah. All right. And that segues into the next one. Build others up while building yourself up. So obviously we have collaborations with other artists, but what about even your friends and family? Like, if you had a friend that posted about their band's shows and you never replied to them, you never went to their shows, you never did anything, they probably wouldn't do too much to support you, right? And rightfully so. So I give my all into supporting my friends and family without expecting anything back, I think is really important. Don't expect something back, but whether you believe in karma or whatever it is, the ways of the universe, generally speaking, what goes around comes around, and generally speaking, it comes back to you. So I just focus on helping others as much as I can. And Mike also made a really great point, too, of like the lifting others up when you get there. And there's another way that I like to say this, which is flow power to that from which you draw your power. And that means all kinds of things. But the people you want to watch your videos, you should flow them some power. The people you want to buy your paintings, you should flow them some power. The people you want to do collaborations with you, you should flow them some power. You know what I mean? It's all a give and take. You're not going to get tons of support and whatnot without doing anything for anybody else. It's just not going to happen. So focus really on helping others and doing as much as you can to build up everyone around you. And naturally it'll be like, everyone just goes up together. And on that same token, ask for help when you need it and utilize your support network. Here's like a funny thing, I think, but I could go out tomorrow and I could ask my friends and I could borrow probably $100,000 easily in 5 minutes, no problem. I know tons of people that could not do that. Like, if they needed help, they couldn't find it to save their life, right? What's the difference? The difference is I have built up brownie points or whatever you want to call it. I have good credit. Like, I go above and beyond. If my friends were to ask me for help, I just, okay, good, let's go. Yeah, let's do it. Let's all help each other. And then when I do need help, which isn't all the time, but when I do need it, they're like, yeah, let's do it, So it really comes back around. And it's totally worth it just to be a good person. I don't know how else to word it. Okay, yeah. All right, and then we have be persistent and consistent. You guys, I'm not a public speaker, in case you couldn't tell. Yeah. Okay, so let's see, there we go. This is your quote there. All overnight success takes about 10 years. I don't know who actually said that in the first place, but we found it online. Jeff Bezos, I don't know. Could be whoever. But,
it's like the most obvious thing that somebody got to
yeah. Now, I don't know that it necessarily takes 10 years, to be honest. Because for me, it's taken 10 years. I take it back, yeah, no. At least, because if I think about it, I guess I did my first painting when I was 6. So it's been like, I'm not going to tell you how many years. Yeah, it's been like 5 years. But always be creating, okay? And this is like honing in on your craft. It's like the funniest thing to me when people go, wow, you're so good at painting. How did you get so good? And I'm like, I just did it like 1 billion times. Literally, I literally just did it 1 billion times. I paint virtually every day, like almost every day, unless I'm out of town or something, but basically every single day and often all day long, and I'm also constantly promoting, but once again in that non-salesy, there's like a fine line, okay? But like I'm wearing this shirt. That is a form of promotion. I'm not telling you guys, hey, go buy my shirts. But yeah, the table's right over there. But you know what I mean? Like, it's a form of promotion. When people come to my house, I have my paintings all over my walls. And that's not so that I can sell them. And honestly, most of those are not even for sale. They're my specials. Or ones that I bought from other artists. But they come and they're like, oh my gosh, this art's amazing. And then they go, maybe you could create something for my living room. It would look great like that one. And I'm like, oh, hey, sure. You know, it's not even, no sales required. But it's a constant promotion. You live it. You know, you live your product. You believe in it so much. I mean, like, you wouldn't go into Stone Coat shop and they have no resin, like, counters or no tables that have resin on them. Like, that would just be weird, right? Like, it just wouldn't work. So they have resin everywhere. They have tables that are resin. They have all the samples everywhere. They have counters that are, like, everything just resin, because they believe in their product. And it's a form of promotion. And then once again, going back to what I was saying earlier about YouTube, don't put something out and then drop it and come back a month later. It's the same thing with any social media, any form of promotion is you have to persist. And you have to be very consistent with it. And I'd say do whatever you can do. If you can do daily, do daily. If you can do weekly. But whatever it is you choose, be consistent. Do it at the level that you can with the persistence that you can. And just as an example of this, so I have my Mixed Media Girl channel, okay guys, and I post basically like daily on that channel. And that is sustainable for me. That's a lot though, and it may not be sustainable for you, and that's totally fine. There's no like wrong or right way about it, okay? Then I have another channel called The Business of Art, which if you guys don't know, that's where I teach everybody what I've learned about the business of art. It's pretty self-explanatory. But I started with that channel posting once a week because that was all that I could sustain. So I was doing my daily Mixed Media Girl videos, then once a week on there. Then after a bit, I was like, okay, good. I've gotten this a little more down, and now I can do twice a week. Great. So then I started doing twice a week, and that was great. And then after a while, I was like, all right, I can do a little more, and I started doing 3 times a week, which, by the way, if you're a YouTuber, that seems to be a pretty good sweet spot. 3 times a week. Like, I even looked at the stats. Like, that was when they went from this to this. And I got to that 1,000 subscribers, like, no trouble whatsoever. But I was very, very persistent and consistent with it, and I didn't drop it. I didn't, like, start just doing, like, 1 a week here, and then 1 month, and then 1, you know. I kept going, and it made it easily successful. It's very, very important. And the things will grow whether you like it or not, honestly. Like, even with my Amazon affiliate program, so this is just funny because I'm like the opposite of Sean. Like, I make most of my money from YouTube, actually, ads. Okay, but then my affiliate programs, while they are awesome, they're not necessarily something that I put too much attention on. So I did sign up for the Amazon affiliate program like a year ago, and pretty instantly I was making like $50 a month. I was like, cool. All I do is I put the link to my store in the videos, and that's it. I don't even tell people about it. I just put the link down there. And that has all by itself grown to now it's like $300 a month. That's just like extra money, just like people just send me, and I'm like, thanks, Amazon. Like, I don't do anything for it. It's awesome, right? So if you get these things rolling and you just persist and you're consistent with them, they grow whether you like it or not. So there you go. All right. Don't feed the trolls. I feel like this is a really important one. Because no matter what you're doing, you're going to get people attacking you. No matter how sweet and innocent you are, you can be the sweetest little old grandma who's never done anything wrong in her life, and you'll get people attacking you. It's going to happen. You're going to get nasty comments on YouTube. You're going to get attacked on social media. Like, if you're getting yourself out there, it's just going to happen. So my philosophy is ignore, 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 and ignore. Be the better person, really. Like, don't don't even get into it. It's not worth it. And it's not you. It is them. In fact, like it really, truly is. And I mean, I've tried, okay? Like I've tried to engage nicely and be like, well, no, that's not actually what it is. And then they like, wow. It's like, oh. You know, it's 10 times worse because you try to correct or answer it or whatever, no matter how nice, okay? So just ignore. Trust me. Just ignore. All right. And yeah, that is me. All right, next tip is be yourself. Yeah, that's my average expression. If you look on my personal YouTube or my personal Facebook page, like 90% of the photos have that expression. But be yourself. Like, oh my gosh. I was so nervous getting up here. You know, it's just a fact. So nervous that I, in fact, spilled my coffee on 2 people this morning, which I'm very sorry. I am so sorry.
That was you?
Yeah, that was me. I don't even know what happened.
I got wet. I know
I
that.
was like, oh no, it's a great start to the day. But you know what? I make mistakes. We're all people, and we make mistakes. So, like, there's not a live video that I have where I don't drop something or knock something over. It's just a fact. And that's okay, you know? Roll with the punches. But don't go trying to be something else or, like, you know, trying to fake it. I mean, do fake it till you make it. But, like, don't try to be a fake person. You know, like, the words that like, describe this. I mean, pretty much that, yeah. And the funny thing about that is, like, some of the videos that I was like, oh my gosh, I should not post this. Those are my most successful videos. If anyone's seen the acrylic pour through a colander video, like, oh my gosh, this thing is still going. It's like a motor horse. But it's got like almost 6 million views or something like that. And you can even listen to me in the beginning of the video saying, I vow to post this video no matter what. I said that on the video because otherwise I was like, I'm going to make mistakes, and so then I probably won't post it. But people learn from your mistakes, you know, and plus it's just showing the process, and it's showing you, and it's showing real life. If you're looking at someone doing something and it's always perfect, it's very intimidating, and you're probably going to say to yourself, I can't do that. You know, but if you see the actual process, the real life, okay, you know, this is actually how it goes. I mean, like, sometimes we drop our paintbrush in the middle of the painting, or it falls on its face, or the cat jumps in it, or whatever. You know, it happens. It does. There's not a single person that something like that hasn't happened to. I have so many dead bugs in my paintings, it's not even funny. It is what it is. If I pretended to never have a single bug in my painting, that would just be weird. Then other people would get bugs in their paintings and they'd be like, what am I doing wrong? The fact is, they're not doing anything wrong. Bugs like paint. It's just a fact. You know, so how do you work around that? You screen it off or whatever you need to do, but it's an issue, you know? So be yourself. And then have fun. Okay, so this is also me as Bob Ross. And it is your job. It's your 9 to 5, right? Sometimes things can get serious. They can get like it's a job, and you can wake up in the morning and go, oh my God, I don't want to do this. I don't want to put out a video today. I don't want to paint a picture. I don't want to talk to you people. You know, like, I don't want to answer your questions again. You know, you can totally get like that. It happens. So whenever that does happen to me, I throw the stats out for the day. You know, just don't look at the stats for 24 hours. And I go do something just wild and outside the box. So you can see me here also doing an acrylic pour from a ladder. You know, that was like, why not? You know, I don't think anyone's ever done it. I'm going to go climb up on a ladder. It was 107 degrees outside that day. And I did an acrylic pour from a ladder. It actually came out super cool. I urge you to try it, but be safe. And then I did the whole Bob Ross paint along, which, oh my gosh, that was That was a live video, you guys, and my beard kept falling off, and I was doing like oil paint for the first time in like 10 years, and I was trying to like answer the comments and like keep the beard on and like oil paint, and it was a mess, disaster, but it was a lot of fun. So just think outside the box, get creative, get back to having fun with it. You know, throw the business out the window for as long as you need to. If you need a day, take a day. If you need a few days, take a few days. No one's gonna die, nothing's gonna end, no world's gonna crash, you know. Take the time you need and get back to the why. The reason why you're doing it, get back to having fun with it. Because art is so much fun, right guys? So much fun. And then along with kind of the scheduling out your time to have your me time, part of that is taking your wins. Celebrate your wins. If you have a really good day, like you made a bunch of sales, or your stats are just amazing, or you hit that 100,000 subscriber mark, or whatever it is, go out and celebrate. You know, go do something nice for yourself. Don't go, okay, gotta get on to the next goal immediately, because that's an easy way to get burnt out. But actually celebrate those wins and share those wins with everyone around you. Like, take your friends and family out to dinner, or anyone on your team, you know, like really celebrate those wins, because that's also why you're doing it, is because you want to have fun. You're not working so that you can live, you know, you're living so that you can work. No, just kidding. No, but you know what I mean. I think I said that backwards. Long story short is, the whole point of your work is not just so that you can make money to live. Like, that's just pointless. Like, you want to have fun. You want to actually travel or spend time with your family. You want to do all these things. So don't just like focus on the work and not anything else. Can you guys see how red my face is? I'm so like, backwards. All right, cool. Next. So to summarize, how am I doing on time? Am I like, yeah, perfect. Okay. So have a purpose, plan for success, utilize as many promotional outlets as you can, collaborate with others, build others up while building yourself up. Be persistent and consistent. Don't feed the trolls. Be yourself and have fun. And I'm going to give you one more bonus tip, actually. That didn't make it into the slides, but it should have. But that is to always be learning. Always. You guys are doing the step one by being here today, and that's awesome. But go to conventions. Watch the YouTube videos on everything. Like, always be learning. Take courses. You know, take classes. Go to another artist class. Go do a paint night. You know, like, always, always, always be learning something. Like, my whole life I've been just studying. Like, I love to learn. I love to read. I love to watch videos. I love to learn. And then I love to go try new skills. So always, always be learning. And that way you're always keep advancing. If you know, stop learning, you kind of stop advancing. And you just can get a bit stagnant in your life. Real quick. Yes. If anyone needs it, my email is info@thepainterinYou.com. You can find my Facebook page is Mixed Media Girl. My Instagram is Mixed Media Girl. My YouTube is Mixed Media Girl. So you can find me, message me at any time. If you need help with something, if you're trying to build up your YouTube channel or your Facebook page or sell art or whatever it is and you need help, reach out to me and I will do my best to get back to you. Facebook messaging is definitely the best. Email's the second, Instagram's the third. I'm not so great with those. They don't like pop up the same way. Anyways, whatever. But definitely reach out. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And then obviously I'll be here later, so corner me. And I'll be here till like Friday morning-ish. So yeah, let me know if you need help.